If you were worried that Games Workshop were going to drop the old world boxes and then disappear into the sunset without releasing anything else ever again for that system, well, you don't need to worry, because we have a new Bretonnian Lord on foot already, and he's also 15 years old? I know, it sounds like I've mixed two things up there, because how can you have a brand new Bretonnian Lord on foot whilst also having a 15-year-old model show up? Here's the thing, he is technically new, he's going to be in production for the first time, but this is a lad that was originally sculpted for Games Day in 2008, and whilst I do love this model for its old school charm, I'm going to go ahead and suggest that maybe you can maybe tell that it was around that era that this guy was first made. So as you can see, the first wave of Warhammer the Old World out for real this the first wave of Warhammer the Old World out for real this Saturday. What? I feel like we're missing a word there, but I don't actually know what word we might be missing, so let's just move on. Basically, loads of stuff. Big boxes, a bunch of other stuff, and there's going to be a few things, remasters, interesting. Ooh, remaster should be fun. And a select few coming on a made-to-order basis. The exciting bit, though, is this. There are a few new models coming, but one of these has a longer history than you might expect. In fact, this Bretonnian Lord on foot and his little helper were actually sculpted back in 2008, but never released until now. There he is. This is the chap in question. And you know what? Actually, just before we get into this, it has to be absolutely wild to be the person who sculpted this model. Like, you sculpt this thing in 2008, 15 full years ago, nearly 16 years ago, technically, since we're in 2024, and it never comes out. It's never produced. It's something that you worked hard on, you poured your time, you love your effort into. It might have appeared in like a prototype form, or like the original sculpt might have been shown off in some cabinet somewhere, but it never releases. You are probably rightfully going to think to yourself, "Man, it's a shame that never came out," but you know what? It happens. Never thinking that it would see the light of day, never thinking that it would be picked up and put into production. It's so long ago, you might as well have just put it out of your mind as being a thing that sadly never got to see the light of day. And yet here he is. He's right here. That's a weird mix of kind of funny because of how long it's been in Games Workshop now finally using the sculpt, but also kind of heartwarming. Like, is it just me, or is that kind of cool for the person who did this? You know, they made this, they crafted this, they put their time and effort into it, and finally people are going to see that. That's kind of awesome. Now, I have to admit, I think there are elements of this that do come across as being a bit dated, but I have to say, overall, this is really cool. I absolutely love the pose and the cloth, like the big cape, then you've got like a robe underneath, you've got chainmail underneath that, then you've got armour underneath that. That's a really cool look. I actually think that looks really, really good. I'm an absolute sucker for someone standing there holding a sword as big as they are with the point down in the ground. I don't know what it is. It's just one of the coolest poses, right? It's just one of the coolest poses. There's immediate bonus points on offer for that. I mean, come on, it looks great. Also, I don't know why, but the fact he's holding his gloves as opposed to them just not being visible at all, I just think that's a really nice detail. There's something kind of characterful about that. Now, I have to admit, I like the helmet enough that it's kind of a shame that he's not wearing it, because the helmet looks absolutely fantastic, and I feel like with any sort of helmet, the more animal horns it has on it, the cooler it is. Bit basic when it comes to opinions, I know, but I just love a pair of antlers sticking out of a grey helm, you know? But having said helmet carried by a servant does a lot to kind of increase the feeling of like social standing for this guy, so it's cool. I actually really like the extra stuff they're putting into this article for this model. So this awesome model was made in 2008. It was shown at a Games Day around then in a cabinet of grit. So yeah, this guy was literally on display in like the master sculpt form, like the first one, the only one, and never came out, and now it's here. As we were writing the new game, someone remembered the miniaturing quite if it was still around. The mould room still had it, but it had never been pressed in rubber as far as we could tell. They kindly made new mastering production molds so we could release them in metal. So it's going to be metal, not even going to be resin, going to be metal for some reason, and I know there's going to be those of you who disagree with this, and that's absolutely fine, I'm just really liking the fact that this model that was kind of forgotten or like pushed to the side or kind of shifted over to make way for something else is finally a thing that you can get hold of. I really like that for some reason. Oh, look at that back view as well, though. That looks so good. The massive scabbard, the shield looks fantastic. That cloak that's like a top 10 fantasy cloak for me. Look at that. And again, like the detail of the chainmail on the sleeve, I really like this. I feel like I've complained about non-helmeted models so often that I've just lost any right to make any sort of comment on anyone's head that isn't a helmet when it comes to models. I am getting slight, like, Angry Jesus vibes, though. Oh, also the little helper's got those kind of shields around the neck of the hood. That's kind of fun. I like that. So Martin, who originally sculpted the Lord, was very surprised to learn that his Lord would be released after all this time. I was proud to make it and have a soft spot for it, having previously worked on the Trebuchet and crew and a Golden Demon entry featuring said Trebuchet. I do like the Bretonnian Ranger background. So the sculptor for that made this, which is quality. That looks great. So it was made in modelling putty, and he wanted to do a Lord on foot as all of the knight models were mounted. It's really, I'm sorry, it is kind of funny, because it's just that thing of, we only had this many options, so I wanted to do something different. Did something different. Now, in 2024, after doing the work in 2008, the different thing will be readily available. Hey, you got there in the end. That's the important bit. You got the thing. He was intended to be a Games Day exclusive miniature, but in the end, another of my models replaced him, the exalted hero of chaos at Games Day 2009. So it's this guy. I mean, to be fair, that is also a class model. Look at that. That's great. Oh, and there's going to be a launch event on the 20th of January. I think they may have already talked about that, but I'd forgotten. Well, there you go. New Bretonnian Lord on foot. Sculpted in 2008. Released 2024. A strangely heartwarming preview there. I know he's going to be in metal, and not everyone wants to deal with metal, but then again, given the target audience of the old world, I'm pretty sure most of you perfectly fine with metal. Frankly, God knows enough of your current collections will be made up of it. Yeah, that's just, I don't know, that's just kind of made me happy. It's nice to see something like that happen. Anyway, let me know what you think of this new, new model in the comments down below. As always, there's an affiliate link that you can use to support the channel. Really helps using that affiliate link. You still get the stuff you ordered. You get it at a discount, and I get a little something for sending you over to Element. It's vastly helpful. So, that's an option. There's members, patrons, all that stuff. You can check all that stuff out. There's going to be a whole raft of new things coming in the next couple of weeks that require your membership attention. I don't know how to really phrase that properly. Do what you want. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.